as has been spoken, everyone has his mitzvah. Every generation has its mitzvah. We have to keep all the Taryag mitzvahs, but we have to concentrate on one mitzvah. The Gemara says, one Amayra met another Amayra, and he asked him, Avach b'may zayat fei, your father, with what was he more careful? Everyone is careful with his mitzvah. And the neshama feels what particular mitzvah it came down to this world for. Everyone has a shaykhus with a mitzvah. And every generation has a shaykhus with a certain specific mitzvah. And a mitzvah to the Mashiach, the mitzvah is Emunah. Like the Gemara says, Bacha batuk b'midan alachas, v'tzadik b'emunasa yichya. Habakkuk spoke about the last tkufa, the last period before the Geula, and it says, hold on to Emunah. We're all sent down to this world for a purpose, and the Yikar Hatzlacha is to be mikayim the errand for which we were sent down. And the klal is that whenever there's a certain mitzvah which is the hatzlacha of that person, so the certain doesn't like it. And if the ikar mitzvah that we're sent down for is Emunah, to do his best that we shouldn't be mikayim Emunah. So we see it clear in our generation that the whole world is like a battlefield against Emunah. So hard. The Goyim stopped believing. They don't believe. Our religion today is of the tzanis. It isn't like the Amaleki Goyim, the fanatic Goyim who believed, and they went to the Galach and this and that. And we see it all the way up, all the way up. The Satan concentrates with all his kaiches that we shouldn't have Emunah. You find that by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim is the shayrish of the Geula. Whatever you find by Yetzias Mitzrayim, that's how the Geula is going to be. Like it says, Ki meitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim aranu neflois. The Rebbe will show us neflois like by Yetzias Mitzrayim. So when Moshe Rabbeinu came, it says Vayamin Ha'am, they believed him. And afterwards, the Goddess became still tougher, still harder. And it was impossible for them. And Paro didn't want to give Tevin, the straw for the Levanim. And they had to go and gather their own Tevin and make the same amount of Levanim. And they couldn't manage, and they were punished for that. And the Goddess became very, very difficult. And they came to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they complained. They lost their Emunah. And when again the Rabbeinu Shledem told Moshe Rabbeinu, go to Paro, Vishalach as B'nai Yisrael, so Moshe says, Hein B'nai Yisrael, Leishamu B'kaili, Veich Yishmeini Paro. Because it says, Leishamu La Moshe, Mikai Tzerech Me'avod Kasher. They didn't listen to Moshe. They didn't believe Moshe. First they believed, afterwards they didn't believe. Because the sign of Emunah became stronger. The klal is that when somebody is in danger, he mobilizes new kaiches, and he comes out with new energy that he never knew he had before. We know this story of a lady that a fire broke out in her house, and she had a very dear piano that was very dear to her, so she carried out the piano. Carrying out a piano was quite an ordeal. She did it. Because when a person is in distress, he discovers new kaiches in himself. new kaiches. In danger, he becomes very active and very energetic to ward off any danger with new energy that he wasn't aware of before. And that's what's happening today. When Mashiach will come, it says, "V'zruach atoma ava min ha'aretz." The Rabbi Shalom will remove the Satan, and like it says in the Psukim, that the Rabbi Shalom is going to shech the Yetzer Hara, and there won't be any more Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is the Satan, and he is the Malach HaMavis. It's all one Malach, the Gemara says. So, if Mashiach comes, the Satan is going to be removed, and he knows that. So when he sees that it's approaching this man of Mashiach, he's going to concentrate with all his kaiches that Mashiach shouldn't come, and he's going to disturb the Yiddish Emunah that the Emunah brings to Mashiach, because that's how it is. In the last throes of any living organism, he struggles to live. Hashem Yisrael should help that we should never know such things, and we should be Zeicha, the Tchias HaMesim. But it's a klal that a person right before he dies becomes very active, because he's struggling to keep alive. You see that by a candle. A candle burns with a constant flame until it reaches the bottom, and there's no more wax to feed the candle. So the candle is going to explode with spurts of high flame. It's gasping for the gas that comes out of the wax to burn. So it shoots out with a big flame, gasping for life. And that's what the Satan is doing today. He's gasping for life. The Mishnah says in Rabbi that there were 10 nisim that Yidden experienced in the Beis Hamikdash b'zman sheBeis Hamikdash Kayim. Asar nisim nasal aviseinu b'zman sheBeis Hamikdash Kayim. One of them was that the Kohen Gadol never became Tamei on Yom Kippur. He didn't have any tumas keri, and he was able to do the Avodah on Yom Kippur. It was a nice. Didn't become Tamei. So the Taisus Yamtiv on the Mishnayos asks the kasha. The Mishnah says in Yuma that the Kohanim made extra precautions that the Kohen should remain betahara on Yom Kippur. On Erev Yom Kippur, when all the Yidden eat, he Kamat wasn't allowed to eat. Kamat didn't taste food, so that he shouldn't become Tamei at night. At night, they didn't let him go to sleep. He sat up the whole night, and he was learning with the Pirchei Kohanim, with the young Kohanim, and in case they saw that he was being overcome with a slumber, so they told him, put your feet on the floor, and they banged with the fingers to wake him up. They didn't let him sleep, because in the Beis Hamikdash there was a cold marble floor, and the cold won't let him doze off. And they did everything possible. The Kohen Gadol wasn't allowed to sleep. And then he got up the next morning to do the Avodah in Beis Hamikdash. What was the mess? If he didn't eat Erev Yom Kippur, they didn't allow him to sleep the whole night. So the Mishnah says it was a mess that the Kohen Gadol didn't become Tamei. What was the mess? Under the circumstances, it would have been a mess if he does become Tamei, after all the precautions that they took that he should not become Tamei. So Taisus Yantav answers, the entire kapara of Klal Yisrael was totally in the Kohen Gadol, in his Avodah. The kapara of Klal Yisrael, the atzlacha of Klal Yisrael, the ksiva v'chasina taiva of all of Klal Yisrael for that year was totally in the Avodah of the Kohen Gadol. And the Satan knew that. And the Satan left over everybody, and he concentrated on the Kohen Gadol to make him Tamei. And if that terrible malach, that awful malach, the Satan, the ball of fire that the Satan is, if he concentrates on one person to make him tummy, it's a ness if he doesn't become tummy. And that was one of the 10 Nisim in the Beis HaMikdash. That's what the Tosfos Yom Tov says. The same thing is with our generation. We hope we have every day is a Chakalei B'chol Yom Sheyaveh. We hope Mashiach will come. But the way the world looks today, we have all the indications that Mashiach is around the corner. I can't promise you that, but it seems so. With Order Simanim, the Order Simanim that the Gemara gives, we're going to learn that in Yos Hashem from the Gemara. So Order Simanim that the Gemara gives, the entire degeneration of the generation, the awfulness, the filth, that this generation fell down to, all these simanim we have in the Gemara. So it seems that it's very, very likely that we are, Be'ezer Hashem, going to be the generation that sees Mashiach Tzidkenu. So therefore we understand. The Satan is concentrating on us. He doesn't want Mashiach to come. When Mashiach comes, it's his end. It's his demise. So he concentrates on us. And that's why it's so hard to keep by Emunah today. So, what are the eitzes in such as man to survive, to keep by Emunah? There's a lot of eitzes. The Satan is smart. He knows a lot of eitzes. There's a pasuk in Vayishlach when Yaakov Avinu met Esav, his arch enemy Esav, from whom he fled and was away for 22 years. And now Yaakov meets Esav. And when Esav met Yaakov, Vayishakehu, he kissed him. So on Vayishakehu, you certainly remember what you learned in the Chayda. You have Pintalach, you have Nekudas. So Rashi says he wanted to bite him, but he couldn't bite him, so he kissed him. And as the Medrash explains, a chaf and a kuf are interchangeable. It should have been Vayishachehu, to bite him. He couldn't bite him. So Rabbi Shalom made a mess that Yaakov Avinu's throat became hard like marble, so he kissed him. That's what the Medrash says. So the Sfasamis asks the Kasha, if you want to bite somebody and you can't bite him, you kiss him. So you give up, you can't bite him, but you don't kiss him. So the Sfasamis answers, we know that Sfasamis always came up with big ideas. This is a classical Sfasamis. So the Sfasamis answers, and remember this, Bachman, the Sfasamis answers, he wanted to bite him with a bite, but he realized that he can't bite him with a bite, so he bit him with a kiss. Which means, this is the tactics of the Satan, of the Yetzer Hara. All through our Galus, the church, especially the Catholic Church, they persecuted us, they oppressed us, we suffered under them, under Galus Raimi, by the Churban, by the Crusades, and the Spanish Inquisition. We suffered so much in the Gezayos of Tachvetat, and all over. The entire almost 2,000 years of our Galus is replete with oppressions and persecutions from the Catholic Church, the Christian Church. This is Esav. He bit us. And it came to a point where Esav saw he can't bite us. We remain. We survive. His biting isn't effective on us. So what does he do now? For the last 20 or 30 years, the Catholic Church changed direction. They started kissing us. And they are inflicting much more damage on us with their kissing us than with their biting us. They started becoming nice to the Yidden. And the Pope gave out a decree that we have to be mikar of the Yidden. And let's be nice to them. Like, come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. Let's be nice to them. And intermingle with the Yidden. And the Catholic Church reached out and assimilation started. Yidden became Goyim. They made parties together. No, if you like, you see in the society pages in the newspapers, the mixed marriages which are officiated. You know, the Masad Gedushin is a rabbi and the galach, both together. The officiator will be Rabbi Joe Horowitz and Father John Campbell. That's how you have it. They work together. And they make parties together. You know, Easter and the Havdul Pesach come out together. So they make parties. You have it. I mean, it's a fact. They come together and eat sandwiches, matzahs with pork. Come together. Biting us with their kiss. And that's much worse. They're accomplishing much more than what they accomplished all through the Golos. They're biting us with their kiss. And especially this past week, something happened which is against the entire policy of the Catholic Church. The Pope apologized for all the atrocities that the Catholic Church did to the Yidden all through the Golos. And he said it openly, that he apologizes in the name of the Church. And he visited Eretz Yisrael this past week, Yemach Shmei. He was Metame Eretz Yisrael coming there on Purim. And he went to the Kaisel Maravi, and he deposited a kvittel in the Kaisel Maravi where he asks for an apology. And then they took that kvittel and they brought it, and they're going to frame it and put it into the museum of the Holocaust in La Yehudim. Yehudim I say ever since. This is what's happening now. They're being mikari of us. They're reaching out to us. They're kissing us. Oh, it bites. Oh, does their kiss bite? So this is the tactics of the Satan now. Vayishekayu with Nekudas. The Messiah is very, very big. It's hard to remain a Yid, Emunah. Baruch Hashem, we Yidden, for certain reasons that the Rabbi Shalom has, by Shemayim a placement bureau where every neshama is placed. So we were, Baruch Hashem, fortunate that we were placed in nice Jewish homes, and we were sent to the Yeshiva Torah V'das, and we learned Torah, and we have Emunah. But the overwhelming majority of Klal Yisrael, they fell to the kiss of the church. They don't even know Shema Yisrael. Never in the Jewish history did we have a situation like this. It's Vayishekehu with Pintalach, with Nekudas. So we have to look for eitzes, how to survive, how to keep Emunah until Mashiach comes. The last leg of the Golos. How to preserve our Emunah. From the biggest Yesodus in Emunah, Be careful with what you read, what you see, literature, other ways. Now they have invaded the Jewish home. The Jewish home was always a fortress where the Shekhinah dwelled, a Yiddish home. The Satan never dared to go past a Yiddish mezuzah. Now it's different. He has Meiladike Teiches. He is given Reshus min Hashemayim to do things which he never did before. The klal is, the Gemara says, Malchusa de Kei Malchusa de Rekia. The Malchus of earth is similar to the Malchus of Rekia. If you want to know how the functioning of Malchusa de Rekia is, how the Malchus de Rekia is, you can see it from Malchusa de Yara. There is a universal law in all nations that when somebody is put to death, so they ask him for his last wish. In America, when they put somebody to death, like in other countries, the warden is going to come in and say, you're going to be hung tomorrow at dawn, or a lethal injection will be administered tomorrow at dawn, whatever the process is. What would you want for your last supper? They always ask for the last wish, and whatever he asks for, they give him. The same thing as Malchusa de Rekia. The Satan has been sentenced to death. So the Rabbi Shalom says, now you can do things that you never were able to do before. That's your last wish. He could pass the Jewish mezuzah. You could invade the Jewish home. And that's what he's doing now. With his internet, with his newspapers, with the TV. He has invaded the home. He broke through the wall of the mezuzah. He came into our own homes now. He came into our homes, through the door and through the windows. The Yiddish home isn't anymore a fortress of Kedusha as it used to be. This is the big koyach of the Satan today. He has been granted his last wish. And we have to look for eitzes how to survive, how to remain Yidden in these difficult circumstances of Shayim, which I spoke about 2 weeks ago, is mamish the sign of Avram Avinu b'shas the Akedah. Avayara Samaka Merachik. When the Satan is strong and the Nisyainus are strong, we have to look for eitzes how to keep ourselves, our families, our children by the Emunah. So my watch stops me, and in Yes Hashem, next week we'll discuss some eitzes, how to keep by Emunah in these very trying times until we come to the banks of Mashiach Tzidkenu.